Hi, friends. This is Molly Shar. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the founder of the Worthiest Project, and you're listening to the Worthiest podcast, the show that reminds you that you're not broken and you're not alone. Today, we're talking about journaling. Even though I consider myself a writer, I have not always been someone who journals. In fact, I'll admit it's something that just didn't seem very productive to me. I was wrong on that. It has been hugely productive for me, just not in the way I was thinking about. And side note here, we need to talk about how we think about productivity. We live in a capitalistic society that places a very high value on being productive, which is to say, tying our resources of time, energy, and money to what we're able to produce. Humans are not machines. We weren't built to operate at a certain consistent level of productivity. We weren't built to be oriented to productivity at all, but here we are. And this is really the subject for another episode because today we're talking about the power of journaling and how it can be used to boost your brain and unlock your heart. Some of the benefits of journaling include supercharging mindfulness, improving memory, building communication skills, better sleep, strengthening your immune system, helping with anxiety, depression, and stress, improving self confidence, and yes, even boosting your IQ. In the simplest terms, journaling is writing down your thoughts and feelings. It is a place to record what is happening. I think it's helpful to journaling to understand the basic theory that when a situation arises, we'll have thoughts about the facts of the situation or how we interpret the facts of the situation. Those thoughts will trigger feelings, and based on those feelings, we will engage in some behavior. That's all grounded in cognitive behavioral theory. Situation, thoughts, feelings, behavior, which leads to another situation, and so on. Okay, so when we journal, we create this space to sort through all of that. We are better able to record the facts of the situation before injecting our perspective. Very simple. This is what happened. And when you write it down, it's so much easier to see when you're not being objective. So, a simple formula for journaling about something is A happened, I thought B, then felt C, then did D. Just getting that out onto paper without judgment, without trying to fix it, but just trying to clarify and understand it is important. This creates order when you feel like your world is chaotic. It helps us organize what happened in an event, which actually frees up space in our brain that was working to make sense of it. This can be especially helpful when something confusing or upsetting happens, because even what I said before about there being this theory of situation to thought to feeling to behavior, it doesn't necessarily happen consciously and in a way that seems so linear. So journaling about it can help us make sense of what happened. I find this especially helpful when I'm having big feelings or feelings that are unexpected. Sometimes I start journaling by writing, I am feeling whatever, fill in the blank. And that prompts me to keep writing as I get more precise about the feeling or feelings I'm having and start to unravel where they're coming from. Journaling helps you to put things in context. It serves as a sort of historical reference. As you continue to journal, you can go back and look for patterns in thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Another way of thinking about this is that you're able to track symptoms so you can recognize what triggers them. And that's really useful data. If you work with a therapist or coach, this can be a great tool to share things that came up between sessions. Journaling also helps you plan. I will admit that I often end up with a bit of a to-do list in my journal sometimes. It's not my main to-do list, but sometimes I will be writing along and I get a little hit of anxiety or overwhelm or just distraction. And I will jot those things down on a corner of the page to set them aside for later. I journal in the morning, and I love to end on a note of my intention for the day. That puts me in a good headspace and with some energy behind what I want to prioritize for myself. Journaling in the morning is also great because our brains are more pliable in that first hour that we're awake. So if you're able to get up and journal, you might even get even greater benefit from it. And for people who can recall dreams, this is another layer to potentially incorporate. You might be familiar with the practice of morning pages from Julia Cameron, who wrote The Artist's Way. She prescribes stream of consciousness writing by hand first thing in the morning for 3 pages. Another way of journaling that has become popular over the last decade is bullet journaling. Bullet journaling is very customizable because you basically take a dot notebook, which has dotted paper instead of lined paper, and create sections. These tend to be more functional than a free-form journal, and people will include things like to-do lists, habit tracking, mood tracking, appointments, lists of things like books to read or meal planning, but they can also be quite creative in the way they're constructed. So if this is a concept that appeals to you, Google bullet journaling and you'll find a lot of resources. But the way you journal, of course, is entirely up to you. In fact, I'd say that the best way to journal is the way that's going to be a sustainable practice for you. So, whatever time of day that is, whatever format that is, whether you write by hand, use a fancy journal, or use scraps of paper, type in your phone, tablet, or computer, jot notes in a calendar, or record audio or video files, you get benefits from journaling with any of that. You're also not tied to any one way, so experiment until you find what works best for you. I have to tell you that I got so excited about this topic that we now have a Worthiest journal for the month of August that is available for free within the Worthiest community. It's a downloadable PDF that you can fill in on your computer or print out. I sent mine over to be printed at the local print shop. You can have them do a 3-hole punch and then put it in a reusable 3-ring binder, or they can spiral bind it for a few dollars. For me, there's nothing quite like being able to scribble with my favorite pen. To get your own copy, go to worthiest.org/journal and follow the instructions. It's really pretty special and brings together plenty of space for free-form writing along with tracking feelings, intentions, and self-care. We put a lot of love into it. I hope you'll get a lot out of it. I'll drop the link in the show notes, but again, it's worthiest.org/journal. And with that, friends, I'll see you back here next week. I'm Molly Shar, and this is the Worthiest Podcast.